Hi, I'm Gail Trent, and this is a sneak peek of Claws of Death, a Myrtle crime mystery. I was all snuggled up in my recliner with a blanket over my legs and Matlock beside me when the doorbell rang. I'd been watching my show, The Young and the Restless, and they were right in the middle of something dramatic. It was Friday, and they always do something overly dramatic and then leave you hanging over the weekend. I heaved a big sigh, which made Matlock heave a big sigh. He wasn't one to go barking every time somebody came to the door, as I put down the footrest and got up to peek out the window and see who was there. You remember Matlock, don't you? He's the chocolate Labrador retriever I got at the animal shelter a few months ago. He's my buddy, that's for sure. When I first got him, I thought I'd lost my mind. Now I don't know how I ever got along without him. Anyway, back to who was at the door. I looked out the window, and there stood Tansy and her sister Melvia. I know you remember Tansy. She's my big, mouthy neighbor that throws money around like it was confetti. Melvia is also my neighbor, but she's nice. She can't help who her sister is. And like myself, Melvia is on a fixed income. I turned off the television before I opened the door. I didn't want Tansy and Melvia to think I just sit around watching soap operas all day, because I don't. I watch one, and that's only because I've watched it for years. And me and Matlock enjoy some of them old shows they have on sometimes, like I Love Lucy, the Dick Van Dyke Show, The Big Valley, that kind of thing. And we watch talk shows sometimes. We have to keep up with what's going on in the world, you know. But we don't spend all day in front of the television. We have things to do. It's about time, Tansy said when I opened the door. She brushed past me. I thought you were going to let us stand out there in the cold all day. Well, no, I said. I hadn't planned on it, Miss Impatient. Hi, Melvia. Hello, Myrtle, Melvia said. Here, give me your coats and I'll hang 'em up, I said. Tansy wiggled out of her long coat and handed it to me. Melvia said she believed that she'd leave her jacket on. I took a chill when we were at the mall, and I've not got over it yet, she said. Is it that cold out? I asked. It hadn't snowed or anything, but I knew that it was in the low 30s or the high 20s, about right for early December in Southwest Virginia. It's not so much the cold as what happened at the mall, Tansy said. Can I get y'all some coffee, I asked. I'd like a cup, Melvia said. We all went to the kitchen, Matlock included. He was as eager as I was to find out what happened at the mall that had given poor little old Melvia a chill. I poured Melvia a cup of coffee and handed her the sugar bowl, the creamer, and a spoon as she sat down at the table. How long's that coffee been setting there? Tansy asked. Not long. I made a fresh pot at lunchtime, but if you don't want any, it won't hurt my feelings. I poured myself a cup as Tansy said she believed she'd pass. Hateful thing. Like her coffee don't taste as thick and strong as motor oil no matter when it's made. I took my coffee and sat down at the table with Melvia. Tansy sat down across from Melvia. You going to tell her or you want me to? Melvia shook her head. I don't want to. You tell her. Well, I wish somebody would. I said this was getting worse than one of them soap opera cliffhangers. I put sugar and creamer into my coffee and stirred it up. I didn't have all day. Melvia and I went to the mall to do a little Christmas shopping. I needed to finish up. She looked down her nose at her sister. Had you even started before this morning? Melvia shook her head. I told you. I had to wait on my Social Security check to get here. I told you Tansy was hateful. She didn't have to bring that up in front of me or anybody else. She just wanted me to know and Melvia to be reminded that she didn't have to wait for money to come in. She could go shopping whenever she wanted. I do mine a little bit along, I said to Melvia. In fact, I had mine pert near done, but I didn't say so. No sense in making Melvia feel even worse. Will y'all please stop interrupting, Tansy huffed. Melvia and I were going through the mall. Belk had their pantsuits on sale, and we were headed down there to look at them when we saw a commotion at Santaland. She was waiting for me to ask what happened, but I didn't say a word. She'd just told us to stop interrupting, so I'd be dogged if I was going to now. Since neither me nor Melvia said a word, Tansy just blurted out the rest of it. Jackson Barnard, who was playing Santa Claus, killed himself. And he was on the throne when he did it, Melvia said softly. Oh, I don't mean in the bathroom. He was on his Santaland throne. He killed himself, I asked. With what, a gun? No, it was poison. He'd put it in his coffee, Tansy said. Melvia looked down at hers like it might have poison in it, so I took a sip of mine to reassure her. "Are you sure?" I frowned. Maybe he just had a heart attack or something. No self-respecting mall Santa would kill himself right there in Santa Land in front of all those little kids. "It wasn't too bad crowded today," Melvia said. "I reckon most of the young'uns were in school." "Still, what makes y'all so sure it was suicide?" I asked. "Because we heard the police talking about it with the woman who works at the bagel barn," Tansy said. "She saw the whole thing. She said he was fine as frog hair, said good morning to her as he passed by, went over to Santa Land and sat down on his throne, took a drink of his coffee, and 5 minutes later he was dead." "But why do you think it was suicide? I wasn't letting this go without some hard evidence." "We know because one of the police officers said there were signs of poison," Melvia said. "Then how do you know it was suicide and not murder?" I asked. Tansy rolled her eyes like I was stupid. "Because people get depressed this time of year. Besides, who's going to kill Santa?"